All right, so yesterday I had y'all research a topic that we've talked about a few times before. Um, I had you look up how we determine theme as a reader. Now, I know that we have discussed that theme is that big message that the author wants the reader to learn from a story, not the characters, the reader. Um, this message is a statement. It's not a topic. It's not friendship. It is a statement about life that the author wants you, the reader, to understand. Okay, theme can be stated. That means that it is laid out there. It is just said, like in a lot of fables. So this is the fable of the gnat and the bull. Okay. And at the end of it, it tells you what the theme is. The theme is that you often think more of yourself than what other people do. Um, or the smaller the mind, the greater the conceit. We're often of greater importance in our own eyes than in the eyes of our neighbors. Those are all themes, those are all messages about life. So in fables, they flat out state them. However, most of the time, your theme is going to usually be implied. And what that means is that you're going to have to infer it. You're going to have to take what you know about life and add that to what's happening in the setting and the plot, what you know about your characters, and draw a conclusion about what you think that message is that the author wants you to know. Okay. So, what are some ways that we determine theme? Y'all came up with some really great ideas. I really loved. So, I had a couple people talking about we determine theme by asking questions, and that was such a great answer. I was so proud of y'all. Um, because yes, in order to figure anything out in your reading, you got to be asking questions. Otherwise, you're just looking at words, right? And we've talked about that all year. Specifically, some questions that we can ask ourselves are those aha moments, when that character finally realizes something about life that he or she didn't know before. Also, those times where a wiser and sometimes older character pulls the main character aside and gives them advice about life. And then another one that we've recently started talking about with plot. When we look at our plot and we think about what is our problem, and then how does the character solve that problem and how did they change? That often leads us to figuring out the theme. Okay. Um, so let's look at here's an example of how we use plot and our conflict and our resolution to help us to figure out what the theme is. Now, you'll notice that these are all things that involve the whole story. So if it's just a momentary lesson, chances are that's not the big theme of the story. You want to make sure that this is happening throughout the story. Okay. So let's say there are two friends and they find a wallet. Okay. One wants to keep it and the other wants to return it to the owner. That's their problem. So finally, at the end of our story, they resolve that they're going to return the wallet and share the small reward. Um, and so, what can we learn about that? We can learn that if you make a good decision, that's a moral decision, that's the right thing to do in your conscience, that you often can be rewarded. That is something that these two friends learned. Okay, this is how we had to figure this out. We had to take what we know about life. We know it's good to return a wallet. We know that sometimes you get rewarded. And that's what happened with these two friends. Okay. Um, as we go through our lessons through the rest of the week, we're going to look at some stories, and we're going to talk about themes. Some of them will be a short story that I will read, some of it will be short passages. So I really want you to pay attention to the stories you're reading and what you can take to heart. And that goes with what you are reading on your independent reading time. So I want you to make sure that you are really paying attention to those aha moments, that you are looking for those times where a wiser character pulls them aside, and you pay attention to that conflict and how it's solved, because that's all going to tell you and help you with what we take to heart and help you to think about what's in the heart, which a big piece of that is the theme of a story.